Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Absolutely Not Podcast. I'm your host, Heather McMahan. How are you? If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm dressed like a Italian or Russian babushka. More Italian, though, because I'm dripping in Gucci. I have a very nice vintage goofy. Girl, the Oxycontin, it's it in. You know, them pills, they be hitting. I kid. I'm not on pills today. I was last week. And I'll tell you what, being on pills for even just 24 hours is fun. You can't get much done, but fun. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to cover my hideous neck right now to not scare y'all at home. And the silk is really playing games with my very silky, equally silky hair extensions from Salty Locks. But hi, everyone. Welcome. You know, I didn't think I was going to be back on camera as quickly as I am. And if you're watching this, I apologize. You know, if this scarf falls off, I'm a little bruised underneath, and I'm swollen. Neck has never looked thicker, but that's a part of the process. So today I've been walking around Atlanta with a Gucci silk scarf wrapped around my head. And, you know, when I feel like when most hot girls wear the scarf, you imagine them driving up the Amalfi Coast in a Ferrari convertible with the same Gucci sunglasses on. And I've got a little linen dress from Reformation with my tits popping through a corset. Like I really am giving you sexy Sophia Loren. But somehow I am able to turn anything that is supposed to be a little mysterious, a little, hey, who is that? What's she hiding from? Into full Russian grandmother. And I want you to know that I've always been able to pull off the babushka look well. The first acting role I ever had was I played a babushka in the second grade play. Our teacher, Miss Miller, went to Russia on a mission trip because her daughter was there teaching Christianity and came back just filled with the KGB spirit. And so that year we did our play, our first school play. And I'll never forget when Miss Miller, I may have told this before. I'm going to take off the sunglasses. I knew I was destined for greatness. We're really just jumping right into it. I knew I was destined for greatness at a very young age because when I was so adult and in tune and kind of ahead of the other children, if you will, obviously not mathematically, not scholastically. I mean, I was a good reader, actually. So let me give myself some credit there. But I'll never forget when Miss Miller came back from her mission trip. And she was our reading teacher and my homeroom teacher. And she had us reading aloud. And I remember thinking, this bitch is auditioning us. I know she is. And these other kids in this class are too stupid to realize it. So when I got up to read aloud in the class, because I was one of those, I was never afraid to read aloud. But if you asked me to come up to the whiteboard to do a geometry equation, I would tell people that I had drop foot disorder and I couldn't walk. Okay? That's how my brain lined up. So I'll never forget Miss Miller coming back, just really pushing a lot of Russian propaganda on us. And I thought, this bitch is going to make us do a Russian play for the school play. And I knew it. And we were reading these fairy tales or poems, and it's only second grade, but I was a strong reader. And I don't even think I actually could conjugate verbs and sentences and form actual sentences. I just put so much stage presence into reading aloud. I mean, the other kids would say the, and I would say the. I would, enunciate and pronounce my words and really do a vocal warm-up. The cat and the hat. When all the lazy fuckers are going, the cat and the hat. No, stand up. Speak from your diaphragm. This is acting, darling. So I remember when we had to stand up and read. Could have been Silverstein. I don't even know if that's his name. Anyways, it was a Dr. Seuss. And I got up there and I read with fervor, gusto. And I made sure to hit every T, roll my R's. And Miss Miller pulled me outside the second grade class. And dude, I swear to God, this is like my most vivid core memory as a child. After we had a reading lesson, she asked me to step outside of the classroom and I go, this is it. I know exactly where this is going. She had not even announced the class play yet. And I said, Miss Miller's going to ask me if I want to be a star. And I got to be honest with you, after I eat these frosted graham crackers or animal crackers, guess what? I accept. Let me check the schedule. Wide open. And she took me outside and she bent down on one knee. And I said, she's going to propose to me. She said, Heather, you really have a lot of great energy. You have great energy. See, back then they didn't know. They didn't want to tell us we were going to be stars, but I already knew I was going to be a star. You've got great energy and very comfortable speaking in front of people. Would you like to be in the class play? And I turned to her and I brushed my gorgeous auburn bangs that my mother had cut in the kitchen, much to my chagrin. And I brushed those to the side and I said, Miss Miller, I think I called her Norma. Her name's Norma. I said, Norma, I've been ready. I was born ready. She's like, great, you're going to play the Russian grandmother, the Babushka. And I said, stage makeup? Age me? Yes. So I've been clowning. I've been playing other characters and people from the jump. And see, this is how you knew I was a serious actor. If one of the other little twats in the class had been pulled outside and asked if they were going to play an ugly character, you know what they would have done? Cried. They would have been so filled with embarrassment that they were not going to be perfect and be looked at as beautiful and popular. And I said, give me the dirty. Give me the ugliest role. I'm ready to go. I just have always felt a real connection to an older woman who wore a silk scarf around her hair to hide the years of agony, dealing with a husband who went to war. I'm being so dramatic right now. But in all seriousness, most women would put on a Gucci silk scarf and big Gucci glasses and a sexy corseted dress and look like a hot Italian. I look like the Nona under the bridge with the giant cauldron making stews for the poor. And I'm okay with that. I do have on a little sweater because it is 1,000 degrees outside, which means in ATL we are really pumping the AC on the indoors. And you're riding a fine line of possibly having heat stroke and then freezing your fucking ass off. So this little H&M sweater is really carrying me through today. But man, it felt good to go down memory lane for a second. But yes, I do realize, here's the thing. If you're watching this and you see I have on like medical tape, my chin is swollen, I apologize. But we are only a week out of our revision for the neck. And it's battered and bruised under here. Okay, he really went for it. I'm hoping these are the results we need, but we really went for it. I'm hoping we are lump free underneath. But we have so much to discuss. Okay, I made notes. I've got a list to keep us focused. Dude, when I say this, I don't mean to sound dramatic, but when I say the last week of my life has been one of the most dramatic weeks I have of my life. There was like my dad dying, and then this last week of just literally when it rains, it pours. Everything that could have gone wrong in 1 week went wrong for everyone health-wise in my family. So, obviously I told y'all, when I came back from New York from the Beacon, I was sick as a dog. My mom was sick as a dog. We don't even know at this point, did we have COVID 3.0? What did we have? But I had to reschedule my surgery. So my surgery was last Monday, and, I was going in for the neck revision. And here's what nobody tells you about when you do something elective like this, you really go through like a wild mourning period because you're swollen, you don't look like yourself, and you panic. There's always an immediate regret, like I fucked this up, but I needed to get this fixed, so I'm glad I did it. But either way, you're going into it, and I was just filled with so much animosity, anxiety. Obviously, nobody wants to do this more than once, but here we are, but I'm aging, it needed to happen, whatever, yada, 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 yada. But it was just a stressful week. So I was coming off of an illness. I got the clear from my doctor and went into the surgery fine. I felt fine. It was great. We were good. And I had my best friend Anne Marie pick me up from the surgery. She took me for an Andy's custard. Shout out to Andy's ice cream. And we pull up to Andy's. Now you're probably like, why wasn't Jeff there? Hold please, we'll get there. Now, this is not on Jeff. Okay? He profusely begged me to change my new surgery date, but I couldn't. He had a trip planned for 8 months with his guys and then had to go to New York for a work trip. So I said, listen, we're not rescheduling. I have to get this done when I need to get it done because I have to shoot a national commercial in 14 days. This is the only time I can do this. So what's going to happen is you're going to go on your trip. Annie's going to pick me up. I will be fine. I can take care of myself. This is not as invasive as the last time. I'm good. Jeff called the doctor. He was all upset. I was like, honey, you are not going to get negative husband points. To be totally fucking honest with you, I need you to get out of my fucking way. Okay? I want to lay in the bed with my puppy dogs and watch Housewives. And I don't want you to come into the room and be like, this again? Oh, this woman's ridiculous. I want to watch trash fucking television, and I don't want you to bother me. I don't want you to judge the scoops of ice cream I'm eating. I don't want you to say, wow, day 4, still haven't showered. I wanted to lay in my own filth for 4 fucking days. So it actually worked to my advantage that I was wife of the year and said, go. Please go. It was like, get the fuck out of my hair. You know what I mean? Let me live. So my best friend Anne Marie, who also I met, who was in my 2nd grade class and was a part of the Russian play, saw me, can factually vouch for the fact that I was the Babushka. So anywho, Annie picks me up from surgery. They wheel me out. And I'm just ripping jokes. The nurses and I are best friends. My head is wrapped with gauze. I have one drain that's coming out of my chin. Attached to my bra. And Annie she's been my best friend since kindergarten. Okay. Remember, she's not on social media. Annie runs a low profile, but she exists. I swear to God, she's real. So anywho's, Annie picks me up. We go to Andy's custard for a cool treat because that's the thing is your throat hurts immediately after surgery. So Annie picks me up to go to Andy's, Annie and Andy's. And I usually get like a boot daddy. Okay. That's what they call it. I don't know why it's called a boot daddy, but I usually get this thing with peanuts and hot fudge and vanilla ice cream. It's really actually just like an elevated peanut butter parfait from Dairy Queen because that was my drug of choice as a child. So we pull up to the window. I am fresh out of anesthesia. I'm high as a kite. And I turn to Annie and I go, I just want a vanilla with some peanuts. She said, no fudge. I said, Annie, fudge is how I got myself in this predicament in the first place. You know what we're going to miss out on? The hot fudge that I just had sucked out of my throat. We're going to pass on the fudge. Okay, I need a bumper sticker that says, you know what you should do? Pass on the fudge. Now, Annie is my best friend through the years, we have had a real relationship with fudge because we used to go up to this place called Helen, Georgia. And we would shoot the hooch, as they called it in Atlanta. We would get in and we would literally drive an hour north to Helen, Georgia, which is this like cute little kind of European, looks like a little Swiss village town in kind of a redneck area of Georgia. And we would shoot the hooch, which means we go tubing, get in tubes and float down the Chattahoochee. Now the Chattahoochee runs in my backyard here in Atlanta. Sorry, if you're watching this on YouTube, I had to get a little blood drawn today at the doctor's, so don't ask. Anywho, so long story short, she and I used to shoot the hooch, and we used to get a pound of fudge. I'm talking that thick, that good fudge. And we would go buy Beanie Babies next to the fudge shop, all right? This is where I was able to procure my Princess Diana Beanie Baby. My mom paid $50 for that fucking thing, and Robin is the cheapest person you will ever meet in your life. Expensive taste, but somebody else is paying for it, okay? Robin has figured out how to milk the system of her never having to pay for anything out of her pocket, ever, period. And honestly, it's an art. So Annie and I have grown up with fudge. You know, she would always get like a butterscotch weird toffee thing, and I would go peanut butter chocolate or the fudge with the nuts. So Anne Marie is like, you've got to be fucked up right now if you're not getting fudge. I just said, Annie, I've learned my lesson. We fudge so hard through the years that's how we got ourselves in this place. That's how we got here in the first place. So she said, you know what? I respect your growth. I respect the fact that you're not going to fudge. And I said, I just want a cup of vanilla with some peanuts because I hadn't eaten in 48 hours. So Annie takes me home. My mom's there. We're good. I get in night one. I'm good. And what people don't realize is when you have a major surgery like this, they put you on so many, it's not even painkillers. Like I didn't even take an oxy the first night. You have to take 6 fucking steroid pills. So you're actually zipping for the first 4 days. You're supposed to be resting, but you're zipping. I was cleaning out closets. I cleaned out the pantry. I was doodling. I don't have an artistic bone in my body when it comes to the doodles, but I was drawing. Okay? So anyways, long story short, I did everything that the doctor told me not to do. And finally, on Wednesday, so my surgery's Monday afternoon, Wednesday, our housekeeper's there. I'm helping her move some stuff around. I'm vacuuming the porch. You're not supposed to do that. I have a actual drain so basically what they do is when they make an incision, they put a little drain and it's a little tube and then you kind of connect it to your bra strap, or like if you get your boobs done, you get drains, and it helps make sure that there's no liquid buildup, that your blood's running. I don't know. You're just draining it. Okay. When in doubt, you drain. You're not supposed to do any of the physical exertion or activity that I was doing with these drains in, but you know me, I don't know how to sit down and just fucking chill. So I'm already pushing recovery to the limit. But Jeff felt fine about it. He was checking in. I was like, honey, I'm good. I'm feeling great. I'm a little sore, but I'm good. It was not nearly as tough as the first situation. So that Wednesday, I didn't take a pain pill because I was like, I'm not in pain. I didn't even take a Tylenol. I'm like, I'm feeling good to go. And my sister was staying with us. She's in the middle of a move. So we had Bronson. So we had all 3 dogs. So that was a little chaotic. Ashley's running around doing her thing. And then she and my mom leave to go to the club. I said, you go with God. You guys go have dinner. I can't be out in public. I look like what's the character from the Goonies? I look like, what's his name? Sloth? Ugly guy from Goonies. What was his name? Sloth, yes, okay. Member of the Fratelli family who is deformed and chained up in the basement. Despite his grotesque appearance, Sloth is portrayed as gentle and ultimately befriends Chunk. Okay, there you go. All you needed to know is me and my bestie, Anne Marie, riding around town. It's Sloth and Chunk. I'm tired, lethargic, and grotesque because I'm on oxys, and she's Chunky Duncan eating the hot fudge that we got on the side for my ice cream because I was holding back. So Sloth and Chunk were cruising around ATL. My friends are checking in on me. I just want to say shout out to all my girlfriends. Tina, Mary, Annie, Angelique, Amy Mallon, Katie, all my closest girlfriends here in Atlanta. Were checking in on me, and I'm grateful for that. So I'm good. I'm cruising. But Wednesday evening hits, and my dogs have all had something happen medically in the last 2 weeks. Macaroni got some horrible rash. We have no fucking idea what she got into. Literally, it was so bad that we had to put her on like 4 different antibiotics and a steroid. Riggs was getting this upper respiratory thing. Now, it wasn't kennel cough before you guys start to freak out. We went to the vet. They made us put on the hazmat suit, go to the back, do the whole thing. They ran a panel. They're like, it's not the regular RSV. We just think he may have gotten into something. And they gave him an antibiotic and a steroid. So everybody in my house, including my mother, myself, we're all on steroids and antibiotic since basically June fucking 1st. All right? We cannot catch a fucking break. Where are you going with this, Heather? Well, my mom and my sister are at dinner, so they're at our country club. So obviously the phones are on silent, and I'm reaching out like, hey, I think I got to take Riggs to the ER. All of a sudden, he started it was like he was aspirating. He was doing the reverse sneeze thing, and you know when a dog does a reverse sneeze, it's like, it's like the craziest noise you've ever heard. And you're supposed to plug one of their noses, and it like It's almost like box breathing for a fat chick when she's having a panic attack. It like helps you take a deep breath in, take a deep breath out, recalibrate. So Riggs is in the kitchen. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, and he's kind of shaking. I text Jeff. Jeff's like, he's probably okay. Maybe, he's been on a lot of medication. But let me tell you something right now. That mother's instinct kicked in, and I said, I got to get my baby. I got to get my baby to higher ground immediately. And that's when I got in the car. Now, I realize in this moment, I'm going to a vet. I'm going to the ER. I'm racing there. It's about 15 minutes away. But I also don't want to scare these folks. Now, I knew I could drive because I hadn't been on any painkillers for about, 24 hours. So I knew I was in the clear. But I also was speedballing on a steroid pack and hadn't eaten that much that day. So blood sugar was oopsie daisy. And my energy levels were a little topsy-turvy. So we were on the teacup rides emotionally, mentally, physically. Meanwhile, I got a drain dingle-dongling from my fucking neck. And I said, I can't scare these folks when I get to the vet. So what do? I put on a nice Spanx zip-up hoodie, and I get in the car. Now, now, if you've seen my new hour of comedy, hand of God, we had a 911 medical emergency with Jeff 72 hours into my last surgery. And I'm now realizing, oh my God, now my baby's in danger. And there's nobody at home to drive. So I get behind the wheel. So I'm going 80 miles an hour through the main streets of Atlanta, getting to the veterinarian emergency group hospital. We roll up, and immediately, I'm like, I don't know if he's aspirating. He's been on XYZ medicine. They come out in the hazmat suit. Again, they're like, kennel cough. They do a test. They're like, all right, we're going to put him in this oxygenated thing. Now, I had never been to this place called Veterinarian Emergency Group. I had heard they were the new, vet ER, but I had never experienced how this shit went down. So they come out to the car. They're in the hazmat suit. They check his vitals. They're like, we're putting him in the oxygen tank. I'm like, what the fuck? So they rush Riggs in, and they're like, follow us. We walk into the hospital, and the whole concept of this place, which I don't know if I have PTSD or my heart is filled with joy and I want to financially invest in this place. I'm still processing what happened here. They bust in the OR. I mean, you're in triage. You're in the main area. It's just like one giant room with all these different kennels and machines. And, if you got a stitch in ear, it's going down. Literally, we're going to Pound Town, and not in a sexual way. We're at the Pound. All right, we got a Rottweiler in the corner who had a dust up, who's in a kennel just frothing because he's on oxys too. And I'm trying to cover my neck, and I'm like, oh my God, I got a drain, and I'm trying to carry the dog. And anywho, they bust open the doors, and this is how this place starts. They announce you. We have rigatoni, 5-year-old, French Bulldog male, wheezing, possibly aspirated, going in oxygen tank, can I get a hell yes? And then everybody in the room goes like, yes, sir, hell yes. And they repeat it back like, rigatoni, 5-year-old, French Bulldog, can't breathe. And I walk in and I step back. I step back through the doors, and they're like, oh, no. Somebody whips a chair, puts me right in front of this oxygen chamber that they've put Riggs into. He's thrown in this glass cage. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him, and I'm like, dude, we're in the pit. If you haven't seen the TV show The Pit, we're in the pit. So Riggs is sitting in his little oxygen box. I am sitting in a chair right directly in front of him. And they say that as soon as you walk in this place, they're like, you will never leave your pet's side. We don't do anything in the back. You're exposed to everything. I got a little excited because I was on steroids. So I was already kind of pumped. Give me some gloves. Give me a hazmat. Who needs me to clean an anal gland? I'm ready to dive in. I'm ready to go. Well, I'm not in there 35 seconds before I hear words that I never thought I'd hear on a Wednesday, 48 hours after a neck job. I hear... Again, they come in and they announce everybody. I hear, and I quote, we've got a turtle triage. We've got a turtle triage. And they have no information because somebody just dropped off a turtle that I think had been run over by a car in a box and we're about to do triage. Now I'm asking a lot of questions. In my mind, because I've just now swallowed my eighth steroid of the day, I think to myself, are we doing mouth to mouth? You know, I'm Googling what exactly does triage mean? I know it's bad. I know it's all hands on deck. You know, how much blood do we need to supply for this turtle? Do I need to do a transfusion? Who's got a tourniquet? I've got some tight rubber bands in my purse. I can wrap that around a little turtle arm and draw some blood. What do you need? So I kind of hop up, ready to step up to the plate of critical care for this turtle. And all the nurses run over. They open the box. And I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in this very loud place. They go, and then the nurse looks over at me. I look at her. We all take a breath and I go, did we lose him? And she's like, we might. I swear to God. I'm not trying to laugh. Rest in peace to that turtle. Okay, well, I already gave it away. He didn't make it. But so they grab him and they take him kind of around the corner. And what I'm imagining, and they wouldn't tell me, they were like, you don't want to see. I'm imagining the shell was broken in half. There's guts everywhere. I mean, you can't put a liver back in a turtle. You just can't. Once that shell is broken, I mean, you could maybe tape up, do a little putty, you know, Gooby Gone or a little tape. Fuck, I don't even think you could get a hard construction staple through a turtle. But basically, I'm like super glue this shell back together. But I think too many vital organs had popped out of the back of the shell. So they take him around the corner, which again, I'm supposed to have eyes on everything. But the turtle didn't have a representative there. So I ask, I say, I'm so sorry. Am I allowed to ask how bad is it? How bad is it? And they go, it's not great. We're going to see what we can do, but it's not great. So Riggs then looks at me and he's like, who's saving the turtle? And I said, Riggs, I tried to years ago. I tried to save the turtles by bringing around my own metal straw everywhere I went, and people fucking ripped me to shreds and made fun of me. So you know what? I gave up on the turtles, but tonight I'm stepping up for the turtle. The underrepresented turtle community who probably gets run over every fucking day on the road, and we do nothing. At least somebody dropped off this sweet little thing. So the lady goes around the corner. I'm being nosy, but I can't get up from my little square because I have to keep eyes on my dog. And again, we don't know what he has and what I have. They're like, y'all both look like fucking shit right now. So we don't really want any part of you, but you're in the middle of triage. And I mean, if you've seen the TV show The Pitt, the way it's shot, like, you know, you are in the action. You are in the ER. You are in the emotions. It's more heightened than Grey's Anatomy. Grey's Anatomy was more like, yeah, there's medical stuff, but there's a lot of love stories. The Pitt is like, we're in it. We're in the pit. So doctor comes back around and everyone has a calm energy. And I know what calm energy in an ER, it can only mean two things. A calm energy either means we got it, we saved it, we're good, everything's going to be fine, or it means we lost a turtle. And the doctor came around and she's like, I'm going to check Riggs' vital. And I just kind of paused. I said, real quick, before you get to my baby, what happened with the turtle? And she said, ma'am, we did everything we could, but you didn't want to see in that box. And I said, I appreciate what you did, doc. And I'm just high enough on steroids to have like 2 tears roll down a cheek. And I caught him. I caught him with my tongue because I didn't know when was the next time I would have any sort of sustenance. I felt like we were in it for the long haul that night. And then they took action immediately on my baby. So they got some vitals, they were drawing some blood, they were like, we're gonna listen to the lungs. So they're going through the full process. So I think, all right, I rest in peace to that turtle, but now I gotta refocus on my child. And Riggs is, still has the cutest disposition, even though he's, wheezing. I mean, he just had the cutest little look on his face. And because I put him in this random like harness that had cherries on it, he looked like he was in a little hospital gown. He looked so cute. And everybody in this place is just oohing and awing. They're like, oh my God, who's this rigatoni? Oh, named after pasta. Oh, you have another one, macaroni. Oh, and everyone's just oohing and awing. And I'm over there and I can't turn my neck because I'm fresh out the slammer. And I'm looking around going, I do have the cutest child in here. I'm going to say it. 3 seconds later, we have another victim. They bust through the doors. We've got Chloe, a 2-month-old French Bulldog, may have ingested poison. We gotta go. And I hear French Bulldog, Chloe, and I turn. I'm telling you right now, this was one of the wildest things I've ever seen. This dog's eyes, bebopping back and forth. I mean, I've seen, I've been in sketchy parts of Louisiana where somebody is on angel dust. This dog looked like he had done angel dust. So the dog's eyes are just neurologically freaking the fuck out. So that's immediately why the owners think that he got into sweet Chloe, got into something. Dude, turns out this dog did not get into any poison. It had such a bad ear infection that had gone through the ear canal that it was pushing on the back of the dog's eyes. And they were going back and forth like wild. So this lady and I can't touch her. She can't touch me because I have to stay in my little taped off square. And I'm like, is Chloe going to be okay? She's like, she just has an ear infection. We're going to be fine. 3 minutes later, we got another victim. We've got Titan, a 4-year-old chocolate lab. There was a dog off leash. Bit Titan, puncture wound to the right ear. And I'm like, no, Titan, we got to save Titan. I'm so high now on these steroids. I am jazzed. And they have free snacks at the front. So if you don't think before I got to my little taped off square, I had 2 Coke Zeros and a pack of Doritos, then you must not know me. So I am sugared up, carbed up, ready to go on my own prednisone. I keep saying, tap me in. Tap me in. And they're like, ma'am, you have an open wound to the throat. You cannot be around these animals that might, you got an open wound. Don't let a dog lick your wound. So because you're in the middle of this place, it is the wildest experience of your life. There's no curtain. They're not shading you or protecting you from seeing some wild shit. I mean, obviously, like, if a dog got hit by a car, they're going to say, look away and put it in another room. But I saw them sedate a 400-pound chocolate lab, and it's a sweet Indian family, and the kids couldn't have been cuter. And they're staring at me, and they're like asking me a question about rigatoni, and I'm like, I would let you hold him, but he's in the oxygen chamber, and I can't move from my squared off little thing. And this kid is the cutest kid I've ever seen in my life. And then one of the kids has a mask on because he clearly has COVID 4.02. And I'm looking at him. He's coughing. My dog's coughing. I'm coughing because I have I have like one of those voice modulator things. I basically have a drain that I'm trying to hide under my scarf, under my hoodie. I probably look like a crackhead myself. So this kid's coughing. They're like, this woman keeps sending her son out. She's like, go outside, go outside. They're trying to help the chocolate lab Titan, who I'm obsessed with. And then next thing you know, Titan's getting sewn up right in front of me. I mean, Titan is, I would say, 10 feet away from me, not even. And they sedate this guy. He goes down. It takes everybody in the staff to put him up. And I'm watching a live ear sewing. I'm talking to the dad. I'm like, what happened? Oh, we were at the dog park. This other dog got off leash, just went straight for Titan. I said, wasn't one of mine. We got respiratory issues at the McMahan household right now. I'm making friends with everybody. At this point, I'm 2 hours in to my veterinarian ER situation, and I am a part of the team. I'm a part of the community. I'm Googling, how to quit comedy and become a vet. Now, I will say something. I do have this theory. I've never met a vet or a chiropractor. I would put vets and chiropractors in the same group. They're doing the Lord's work, but there's something a little off, all right? And for any of the vets listening, I love you. But there's something, every vet at some point got into it because they had just enough horse girl energy in them that they wanted to do good. And chiropractors have just enough horse girl energy in them that they're ready to crack necks. It's all comes back from the same horse girl energy, right? And So on, and they're doing it. They're in there. So we got Titan's ears getting fixed. Chloe's getting her ear drained. They have another dog in the back that's got a cone on. Then we got a cat that comes in. They're like, we got muffins, 8-year-old Siamese. Tail is missing. They run her into another room. So the cats get to go in a private room because obviously we can't have a dog-cat fight. And Riggs, meanwhile, is in this clear box, just like, what's going on? Well, it turns out he has double pneumonia. I didn't even know you could have double pneumonia. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know dogs could get it. They think, he had a snotty situation. He was running around the yard too hard because, he didn't skip a beat. He could be on full antibiotics and he is full throttle 24/7. So he gets an IV. They're like, we got to pump these meds into him. We don't think the other antibiotic worked. Again, this is not kennel cough. We think basically he got some snot aspirated. It got into his lungs, a little infection, but he's going to be okay. So I'm saying, praise God. I'm FaceTiming Jeff from the ER. He's like, what the fuck? You said I could leave town. I said, I thought I had it under control. Meanwhile, my mom and sister are having a great time at the club. No one's answering their phones. They don't even know that I'm gone. So then 4.5 hours later, I get a text from my mom. Where are you? I said, I'm at the ER with your grandson, Rigatoni. Where are you? Oh, half in the bag? That's what I thought. So Jeff calls me. I'm basically like, we're fine. We're under control. Everything's going to be fine. I've now applied for a volunteer job at this veterinarian emergency group. I loved everything about it. It was wild. You were in it. You just felt like you wanted to roll up your sleeves and save a fucking turtle. And that's the kind of energy on a full day's worth of prednisone, steroids after my second neck job. That was the kind of life-saving energy I needed to be reinvigorated. I get home at like 12:30. Get home at 12:30, finally get to bed. I have a doctor's appointment at 7:30 in the fucking morning the next day, and I'm just like, I haven't slept. So now I realize I'm pushing my healing process back 10 years because you know what you're supposed to do? Rest. You know what I didn't do? Fucking rest. So the next day I get up, I go to my doctor's appointment. I'm sitting in there. They're checking the stitches, they're checking swelling, doing the vitals, cleaning me up, And they're like, you got to go home and sleep. They're like, you look fucking cracked out. You look insane. And I'm like, I drove myself here this morning. Don't remember. So I go home. I finally take a pain pill. I lay down. I'm down for a couple minutes and we got emergency number 2. So I had made a veterinarian appointment for Bronson because he sees the vet up by us. And I take him in as my sister's Frenchie, who's been a part of our lives forever. I say, Ashley, you're busy. I'm going to go take him to get this eye checked because I woke up and it was looking a little goopy. I'm like, first Mac with the rash, now Riggs with upper respiratory. Now we got good old Braun dog over here. He looks like he has syphilis of the eye, which is a thing that dogs can get. So I take him up to our regular vet, not the emergency vet. We walk in. New gal. This is a new vet at our established veterinarian spot. And she came in with anxious energy. Again, I'm anxious, okay? I don't feel well. I've got a drain coming from my throat. She looks at me, looks at the eye, and I'm thinking maybe it's conjunctivitis. Maybe he got into something. Maybe he's just old. I don't know. And this woman does a quick eye examination and says, you need to drive him up to Athens, Georgia, to the University of Georgia ER right this second. I'm looking around, can barely turn my neck. And I said, what do you mean? She said, his eye's about to pop out of his skull. I said, ma'am, that's not a thing. There was no fight. There was not an accident. He didn't get in a bar fight. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean? She's like, I think there's an inclusion. I think there's some sort of either glaucoma or there's a cloudy eye, and I'm afraid his eyeball's going to pop out of his head. I said, ma'am, I know I am high on drugs right now, but I got to sit down because what is coming out of your mouth is not computing to the back of my brain. So I call my sister, who is in the middle of putting stuff in a storage unit at the moment, in the middle of a move, and I call, and she's like, well, what are we going to do? I'm like, well, I don't know. What are we going to do? So I call this guy who's this incredible eye specialist who we took Riggs to when Riggs got herpes of the eye a couple years ago. Yeah, you heard that right. And I said, listen, I got to get a second opinion. This woman's saying I got to get, with the drain hanging from my throat, I got to drive an hour and a half to the University of Georgia. And she'd already told me the price. She said, I'm on the phone with them now. It's going to be $6,000. I go, for what? What do you mean my boy's going to lose an eye? I am so confused as to how we got here. I came in for a little crusty, dusty, dry eye, and now he's going to lose it? Like, what is going on? I was waiting for Ashton Kutcher to pop out and be like, gotcha, girl. Gotcha. Here's another 20 minutes of stand-up. Gotcha. So Jeff's freaking the fuck out. My mom's freaking out. But I call Alex, who is this incredible eye specialist that we've seen before. I DM him. I said, hey, man, I know you're on vacation. Can I get 3 seconds with you? Can you do a house call? I'll pay you whatever you need. Whatever you want. And he's like, send me a video of this eye. This doesn't sound right. So I sent him a video of the eye, very detailed photos, and he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. He's like, here's the deal. I'm an eye specialist. That eye is not going to fall out. I am 99% sure this is dry eye. I've got you into Blue Pearl, which is another ER. He said that it has an eye specialist. You're going to go here tomorrow at noon, put XYZ drops in the dog's eye, keep an eye on him, but I do not think we're going to lose an eye. I said, well, thank fucking God, because I'll tell you right now, I can't drive up to the University of Georgia right now, drop down the EMMYS, and my boy's going to lose an eye. We've already got one rashy dog, one that's coughing. My boy can't lose an eye. Okay? If I come back from the vet and hand off Bronson to my sister and he is down an eye, you think that's going to go over with the Galaw lady? No. That's not going to go over well. So I get down to Blue Pearl. So now I'm on ER vet number 2. But Blue Pearl's fantastic, okay? So I had a great experience at the Veg. Now I'm at the Blue Pearl. I walk in. They have the best staff in the world. Everyone's fantastic. And the optometrist comes in. And she goes, honey, you need to take a seat. You got a drain coming from your throat. You're going to be okay. And I said, oh, my God, you have no idea how badly I needed to hear that. Thank you so much. And she said, you look terrible. Would you like me to check your blood pressure and check your pulse? And I said, please. I have an open wound on my throat. Could you look at it? And she goes, looks like it's healing great. They take Bronson back. This 10-year-old French Bulldog has chronic dry eyes, is what they've concluded. But apparently you're on a dog, and I don't know if it's the same in humans, your teardrops are made up of mucus, fat, and some sort of other weird thing. So when it comes out, it's gloopy, it's glumpy, it's not great. It looks like full gonorrhea. They were like, we're going to give you these drops. Don't worry. He's going to be fine. So not about $1,000 later. Meanwhile, the day before, I'm $1,800 deep with rigs at the Veg. Now I'm at the Blue Pearl for $1,000, but whatever. Okay, whatever. I'm going to figure it out. I'll show a couple feet pics on TikTok, and you guys will, a couple creepy guys will send me cash, and we'll be good to go. So I get him home. Then we get the medication for Bronson. Comes in it was like the bomb squad dropped this stuff off. And I ordered it from Chewy.com. They're like, if you are pregnant, don't get anywhere. Don't be in the same state as these eye drops. Not for human consumption. Not for animal consumption. Must wear turtleneck while applying drops. Must do drops 10 times a day. So then I got to email the fucking Blue Pearl and go, guys, there's so many warning labels on this medication. I don't even know if we got the right stuff. They're like, oh, no, it's right, baby. Just you better glove the fuck up. So now I'm in a full hazmat suit, giving Bronny the drops. Riggs is just looking over there with a snotty nose. Macaroni's scratching a rash. And I go, how the fuck did we get here? And in my mind, what am I thinking? I'm thinking about the turtle. I literally at one point put my hands up to the sky and said, turtle, if you're up there, please be our guardian angel, because we're not going to make it. Now, 15 minutes later, Robin comes down the stairs. She goes, I got to go back to the doctor. My throat feels like shards of glass. I said, can you drive? She said, I can. So she gets in the car, drives, comes back, strep throat. Okay? So I want you to understand that my revision in 46 hours, 3 pets, my 77-year-old mother, and I all take a fucking tumble. And Jeff has the audacity to come back from his trip with an upset stomach. I said, we're done. I have called every priest in the Atlanta area. I have called on the rain gods because it's rained every single day here in Atlanta. I have called on a pet psychic. Every single person that may be in tune with crossing over or another spiritual entity will be swinging by Chateau McMahon in the next week to either sage, burn it down, light something on fire, put a finger up my butthole to cleanse me. Because we have not been well. And I know this sounds like I exaggerated this. Oh, here's Heather doing one of her wild stories on the podcast. Guys, this is word for word everything that fucking happened to me in the last week. So finally the weekend comes. I'm like, I'm going to catch my breath. Well, I sat outside for 45 minutes. My face is covered. I buy this insane shield. I'm making sure that I'm hydrating. Well, I think I may have gotten a little overheated because, again, I still have a drain coming out of my throat. I come inside. I'm feeling a little dizzy. I go to sit down, and my husband's looking at me, and I was like, I got to lay down. I'm not feeling great. So I get a heat stroke on Saturday. And then a special little package arrives that really brought me back. And I just want to give a big shout out to Abby, who works with me on my social media team. She sent me this book. Shout out to my folks on my social media team. She sent me Bouncing Back. I survived everything, and I mean everything, and you can too. This is a book by Joan Rivers. So I started reading this book this weekend. I was like, I got to like tune out. I just can't. I need to read a book and calm down. And I just want to say that this is one of the best books I've ever read. It is literally when Joan Rivers hit her lowest point, and she walks you through how to like survive the worst parts of your life and how it doesn't matter what happens to you, you're going to get through it. And listen, I've buried my dad, so I've been fucking through it. But speaking of my dead dad, you know that he comes back to me as a bumblebee or a yellow jacket. And on the cover of this book, Joan is wearing a bumblebee pin from her Joan Rivers collection. And she talks about how she went bankrupt with her jewelry collection, but this is an insightful part. She says, however, my designs turned out to be enormously popular and my company quickly grew. My signature piece was a gold-toned and crystal bumblebee you see me wearing on the jacket of this book. Aeronautical engineers have studied bumblebees for years and said that their structure and wing size should make them unable to fly. Well, the bumblebee, defying all the laws of aeronautics, does fly. It achieves the impossible, and so it has been my mascot for many years. I got this book. It is signed by Joan. I got this book as a recovery gift. And I want you to know, I opened it to read it. Just, they found this like amazing artifact of Joan, so they sent it to me no matter what the book would have been about. But the fact that it's bouncing back, I've survived everything, and I mean everything, and you can too. And then it had that special moment of her explaining why the bumblebee, and I did not know that the bumblebee was Joan's mascot. Had no idea. This is just another reason why Joan and I are the same person. While I was recovering from my second neck job, and I just said, the universe has a really funny way of sending you a wink. And in that moment, I opened up the package, I think on Sunday, and I started reading the book, and I was like, that is my dad saying, you're gonna make it. I'm here. We have no food, we have no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off, but it's going to be okay. But when I tell you it has been a harrowing week, and then today, to top it off, is my anniversary, and I had to get a Pap Smear. We're all good. I went for my annual. Shout out to Dr. Noor. Love him. Dr. Noor, without giving away any HIPAA violations, Dr. Noor is the OBGYN baby doctor for all of my friends. He has delivered my French twins. He has delivered every one of my friends' kids, and we all love him, okay? He is just smart. He's funny. He cuts right to it. It gives a very professional Pap Smear, and is just a great doctor. So I went in there, and he was like, what the hell happened to you? And I said, listen, I'm going to take off my scarf, because right now I'm sweating so bad on this waxy paper. And that's the worst part about going to the gyno. You're already a little anxious. You've been running around. You run from the parking deck. Then you get up there. Then you got to fill out this paperwork. Then you get in. You strip down, and your asshole is just pressed onto the wax paper. So you're sweating. It does not matter what time of year it is. You're going to sweat on the wax paper. So he's like, scoot your butt down, and I'm scooting my butt down, and the wax paper is now inside my ass. So I'm like, Dr. Noor, I got a wax wedgie. Like, you got to give me a second. He said, Heather, if you could invent a wax paper that did not stick to your, or like some sort of table protectant where it didn't stick to your asshole, he's like, I could be a billionaire. I'm like, this is your retirement plan. Okay. So anybody who's into textures and parchment paper, call me. We got a Shark Tank idea. So anywho, I'm scooting down. You know, you got to keep scooting. The wax paper has now disintegrated. It is in my vagina. It is in my asshole. I keep apologizing. He's like, you're fine. This happens every day. We're talking about when I need to have a baby, yada, yada. He's like, you need to get a screening for pancreatic cancer. I said, that's fun. So anywho, I'm in there catching up with my boy, having a laugh. And he's like, why are you out doing these doctor's appointments? I said, listen, you don't understand. I've been to the ER 6 times this week. I watched an elderly woman. I had to force a zithromycin down an elderly woman's throat with a sip of pineapple juice this morning because she's on day 7 of strep. So why not come get my cervix scraped? He's like, I hear you. All right. Pee in a cup and go get some blood work. So anywho, it has been a wild week. But all that comes full circle back to my original story of why I am dressed like a Russian grandmother, a babushka. Oh, you know what? This is actually really full circle. There's so many moments in my life that are full circle. Later on in high school, so my first play in 2nd grade, I played the Russian grandmother. I don't remember what the play was about. It was some like fables and storytelling of Russian storytelling. Again, I'm 99% sure that my teacher came back and was like a sleeper cell for the Russian government. But here we were. So later on in high school, I started doing competitive one-act plays. Nerd alert, because I love, obviously, theater. And I was in a very famous Neil Simon play called Fools. And I played the character Linya Zubritsky. And, you know, I worked on my Russian accent. And I won Best Actress in the state of Georgia for that role. It just now dawned on me. I started my career playing a Russian old woman. And then I won an award for my critically acclaimed performance as a Russian woman. So maybe the next creative project I need to get across the finish line is a story about a Russian woman. Linya Zubrinsky. I got to work on the accent. Maybe this is the universe bringing it full circle for me. Maybe I've been trying to play these Southern characters, or I've been trying to play versions of myself, but I need to tap back into the person who I am inside, which is a babushka who's doing triage on a turtle. Guys, I got to go. I got to write a script. This is going to be how I get my EGOT. It's going to be a movie. Then we're going to turn it into a musical. So I'll win the Oscar. Then I'll get the Tony. Then we'll turn it into a movie musical. So then I'll get another Oscar. And then I'll also get a Grammy for that because of the movie musical soundtrack. And then I'll win some sort of Pulitzer Prize for, you know, my memoir about this journey. All I got to say is no matter when you try and get away from your roots and who you are as a person, God pulls you right back. And this is a little wink from the universe. Joan sent me a wink this weekend. My dad sent me a wink. And now, right now, it's all coming together. It's clicking. Wow. Okay. I gotta start storyboarding immediately. I do want to get into some voicemails because y'all have fucking been in it and been going through it, and we're all going through it. And also, nobody talks about, you know, after your Pap smear, can I be crass for 30 seconds before we get into the voicemails? After your Pap smear, there's so much goopy lube, and it doesn't matter how many times you wipe, you basically feel like a jelly-filled cream donut. You feel like a jelly-filled donut all day. And you're walking around, doing your errands, going to Whole Foods, going to CVS, you know, farting around Target, and you are just squirting out that jelly all day. And it does not matter. Unless you have a kitty litter scoop that you can go in and just get it all out, you're just a jelly donut all day. And that's disgusting. But I need you to know that's how I feel right now. All right. We're going to get some voicemails real quick.
Hi, Heather. This is Macy from, honestly, Central Valley, California. Just checking on my Aunt Heather right now, just seeing how you're doing. Love and light, bitch. I don't know what's going on in, like, the world, but I would love to just talk about for a minute what happened this weekend. And I am just, like, so shocked that this has even happened in the world. And what the hell is even happening? I'm sad. So, yeah, like, I just made my Chobani s'mores latte, and I just finished a load of laundry and some dishes. But, like, should I take cover? Like, I'm right near a base. Like, what's going on here? I need some Auntie Heather advice, because what the hell is going on, girl?
Okay, Queen. I love that you're concerned about having your Chobani. What is toasted s'mores creamer iced coffee? Which, by the way, I got the sweet cream Chobani. This too sweet. Too sweet. I can do sweet cream nut pods. The Chobani, I don't know. Dude, they're putting so much fucking sugar in those creamers. Everybody red alert. Okay, so you're calling from California, you're by a base, and you want to know if you got to take cover. Here's the thing. To really put the cherry on top of my hellacious week, I did not expect on Saturday night to be laying in bed and then the phone's blowing up with notifications that we're bombing Iran. It's kind of like obviously what I did to myself was self-inflicted, but the rest of the week, I just felt like I was in a Tervis tumbler or on the highest heat setting in a dryer, and it just kept spinning around and around and around, and I was just a pair of, like, old New Balances that you were trying to wash, just getting my head tousled left and right. But then on Saturday, I just thought to myself, this is fucking crazy. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we're involved. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I will say this. Grab a bottle, hunker down, pray for daylight, and just let it ride. Because what else do we have to live for? And I'll tell you, my first thought was a selfish thought. Of course, I'm concerned about what's going on in the Middle East and what's happening and are we safe and what's happening. Like, it's scary. It's scary to think about your friends that are in the service that might have to go on the front line. Just all of it. There's a wild mix of different emotions that you're feeling and thoughts that you're thinking. But holy shit, dude. I thought so selfishly, if I went in for the neck revision and this was my last week on Earth, like if they're about to nuke us and this is my last week on Earth and I go down with a drain coming out of my throat after I've spent basically 96 hours this week at the vet, take me out now. Like, I will take the entire bottle of painkillers that I was sent home with, that I've only taken 3 of, and I will just take them all now. I'll have a glass of Chianti, and I will ride it out. Because I selfishly did not want this to be my last week on Earth. I couldn't do it. This is not how Mama's going down. I have fought too hard. This Russian grandmother has been through a lot of wars, and she's got one more to fight. And it ain't this one, but I'm not done yet. I'm not going. You're the best thing I've ever known. No, there's no way I'm living without you. I don't know why. I just went to Jennifer Hudson. And you, you're gonna love me. By the way, there's a law firm that shares a wall with us in the studio. And even though we have soundproofed the fuck out of this, I know this guy is like, what the fuck does this woman do next door? She came in with her head wrapped. She always has 65 fucking water bottles, clutching Joan Rivers' life advice book. And I've got usually some sort of brownie. What do I have today? I have a brownie. Hold on. Where's my brownie? Now I'm panicking. I lost my brownie. And I usually have some sort of sweet treat with me. But definitely this law firm, they're trying to like actually save the world. And I'm over here with not a single clue of what's actually happening in the world. But I'm going to sing Jennifer Hudson to you. You're gonna love me. I will say, I was a little hesitant on getting anything operated on near my throat because I had vocal surgery a la Ashley Simpson, nodules on the vocal cords. Adele had it as well. And that's one of the reasons why I can't hold a note like I used to. But I did tell my doctor before I went under, I said, "Sir, I'm hoping to get these pipes back and working." And he said, "I'm your gynecologist." Wrong room, babe. I said, "Sorry about that. Sorry about that." I don't know what's going on, girl. I don't know. I have no fucking idea what's going on. But we're in it together. This isn't our last week. I'm praying for peace. 2025 has been a real fucker. It's been great for a lot of reasons. It's been personally successful, but it has been an emotional roller coaster. I feel like when the highs have been high, they've been very high. And when the lows have been low, they have been oddly, darkly low. For me personally, for people that I love, there hasn't been kind of like all right, we're riding the wave, we're doing the thing. Politically, it's nuts. Geopolitically, it's crazy. Physically, we're falling apart. But I'm looking at my Pitbull affirmations flag that I have on the back of my wall right now, and it says, "Every day above ground is a good day." Remember that. And that's what we got to keep in mind. Every day above ground is a good day. Dale. But do I know what's going on? I don't. I mean, this will come out tomorrow, and things could have changed. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But I'm not going down this way. I ain't doing it. And I called my friend Katie, and she and I are texting, and we're watching the news conference with Trump. And J.D. Vance looks like he has a full smoky eye. Mark Rubio has no idea what's happening. Marco Rubio is just like, think, think, keeps blinking a lot. I don't know. You got Pete Hegseth, who's just, don't get me started. Anyways, so everyone just looks dazed and confused. Just absolutely dazed and confused. And I text my friend Katie, who also spends equally the same amount of time on TikTok. And she's like, "I just ordered How to Prep, the Navy SEAL survival book." I said, "I ordered that 8 months ago. I haven't cracked it. It's in the bunker with the life straws, with the MREs, the gas mask, whatever we're going to need. Like, I'm prepped, but I don't know how to start a fire." And that's what panicked me. And she said, "Why don't you take a gummy and go to sleep because it's too late now?" And I said, "Hopefully I see you in the morning, bitch. I love you." We said, "I love you." We giggled. And we went to bed. But if you do need some sort of prepping book just to have one, there's one on TikTok Shop. That's great. So, here we are. Let's get to one last voicemail.
Hi, Heather. I'm going to stay anonymous because, well, you'll find out. But basically, I just want to say thank you so much for being a comedian and making me happy literally every single day, because I look forward to your episodes every single week, and when I'm not listening to those, I have been going back and listening to all your solo episodes from like the last 2 to 3 years. Like, I just keep on going back and back because I keep on finishing all of them. And
I like that.
You're probably wondering, why am I so obsessed? Well, first of all, because I think you're awesome. And second of all, it's because I'm going through a really, really hard time right now where I just moved to Boston from Canada. I'm getting adjusted to America, and I'm struggling. I'm currently sitting in my car, just finished crying, my usual daily cry. And I'm not going to lie, your episodes are the only thing that crack me up, and thank you for making me happy, and that's literally the only reason. So absolutely yes to that. And also, I know in your old episodes you often were like, "Oh, like if you're really young, like Gen Z, like let me know." And so I'm letting you know, I'm 22 and I love you, and you know what, you make millennials seem very cool. But anyways, thank you so much for helping me get through this really dark time, where sometimes it's hard and sometimes moving through the day is the hardest thing.
Yep.
And staying alive is very hard to do. So thank you. And I love you. Thank you. Bye.
Well, listen, I'll tell you right now, we're glad to have you. I will say, anonymous friend, kind of a tough time to come south of the border, okay? If you decide to go back, we all get it. We all get it because we also have no idea what's going on. Like, welcome to America. Also, we might go to war. Listen, friend, I want you to give yourself some grace because whatever you're going through at 22, and it can be the heaviest shit you've ever felt, and I feel the heaviness of the world. I feel the uncertainty. So just know whatever you're going through, somebody else has also gone through that. Even if you're like, there's no way, and obviously we don't know exactly what the nuanced relationship is that you're going through, but I want you to know somebody has been through it, and you're not alone. And I will say, if I could go back and tell my younger self something, when you're at 22, when you're in your early 20s, you feel that somehow feel that the world is your oyster and you're 10 years behind everybody else. And I need you to know it's the first, it's not the latter. You're 22. Truly, the world is your oyster. You've got this. And I think we need to reframe a little bit. Now, I know you're probably homesick and I know you're in Boston. Okay. So Boston's also like the craziest fucking place on the earth. If I was going to take somebody from a different country and put them anywhere, it would not be Boston. My family's in Boston. My mom's from Boston. And Boston people are the most wonderful, loving, fantastic people, but they're also terrifying. And anybody from Boston would also be like, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. We get it. So I want you to know you've really put yourself in the hotbed of just wild emotions. That is a wild place, but it's also a beautiful place. But if I could go back and tell myself anything at 22, it would be like, give yourself some grace. You don't have to have everything figured out. You need to reframe this for at least the move. And again, I can't speak to what else is going on in life, but you need to look at this as an adventure. And I want you to know that you can have a crash out later when you're 40. You can have a crash out at 50, 60, 70, 80. It does not matter. You can always pick yourself back up. You can always change. You can always move. But I want you to reframe this. When I used to go to summer camp, I used to get really homesick. Okay. I would cry for the first day and then I was dialed in. And then once my mom, I'll never forget, I was calling her from theater camp because again, loser. I called her from theater camp and she said, Heather, I want you to think about this. I want you to think of this as an adventure. Okay. You're not away from your mom and dad, but you're on an adventure. And obviously that is easier said than done. And I remember once I was able to reframe my brain and say, I need to look at this in a positive light, like this is an adventure. And I had to do that with myself this week. I called every single one of my friends hysterical in tears at some point. And I know it's animal stuff, whatever. It's, we have our health, but we really didn't have our health this week. Everybody was fucking falling apart. There was other work stuff that was stressful. There was just a lot of layered things. And I called every single person that's in my top 6 people pinned on my phone, and I wept. I didn't just cry. I wept this week. I was overwhelmed. I didn't feel good. I thought the world keeps kicking me in the dick. I've gotten some other bad news from some other business stuff, and it was just one of those weeks where I thought, I can't catch a break. And I finally, obviously the universe sent me a little wink with this book. And I really think everybody should get this. I know Joan has been gone a long time. And dear listener who's very young, you don't know who Joan is because she's very young. But I want you to get this book. I just feel like bouncing back, everybody needs to read this. This is incredible. This is such a great book. But the problem is, we're too hard on ourselves. We feel like we have to figure it out. And my husband told me this week as I was in pain and I just felt uncomfortable and my face is swollen. I don't look like myself and I'm worried about the dogs and they're not getting better, yada, yada. He said, Heather, pain or healing is not linear. You don't just every day. Life is not linear. My friend Mary Beth told me that yesterday when I called her in tears. Life is not linear. It's not going to be all of a sudden, it's just everything smooth, 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 smooth. And then the ball drops. Sometimes it drops. Sometimes it's up. Sometimes it's down. Sometimes you're normal. But you've got to just give yourself grace. My husband said, be patient, wait it out, give yourself another week. You're not even 6 days out. It's been hell on earth this week. We're trying to hold it all together. Again, we have no food. We have no jobs. Our pets' heads are falling off. But you know what? You've got to reframe it as, all right, this week's going to be an adventure. I know God is going to throw some curveballs at me, and I got to be ready with my catcher's mitt to catch them in the air. And my dad used to always say, you can't control what happens to you. You can only control your attitude. And that is easier said than done. And I had one of those moments on Saturday. It's kind of everything came to a head. And then I turned on the news, and that was scary. And I just said, you know what? I've got food in my belly. We're going to be okay. It is all very scary, but what can I can lay in my bed right now and touch these things. My dogs are breathing. My husband's here. He's in good shape. He's got an upset stomach, but who doesn't have diarrhea? Robin's okay. She's on day 8 of antibiotics. Ashley's okay. Everybody's okay. The things and the people that I love, I can touch right now, and we're going to be okay. And you may not be, because you're away from family and you don't feel like you're close and you can touch the person that you love, or I don't know what you're personally going through, but I want you to know you're going to be okay. So we got to do a little reframe. Also, I highly suggest you go over to the North End, the Nath End, go over to Modern, go get a pastry, get a cannoli, go over to Neptune's, get a seafood tower, bebop around, find a great pub, great sports bar, sit down, have a Guinness, introduce yourself, and you're going to be okay. But if, man, at 22, you feel like you make these giant leaps, like I had moved to New York at 22 after college, and I was trying to figure out, like, how am I going to get this career started, and what am I going to do? Dude, it took me 12 years of an adventure before I even, felt like Fred Flintstone, yabba-dabba doing my way through life. My feet started to pedal on the ground beneath me, and the car started moving forward. So I know that's, again, you got to Google the fucking Flintstones. You don't know who they are because you're young. But just know everyone is feeling it right now. The whole world has a weird shift. The crazies on TikTok say the third eye's opening and the aliens, the Anunnaki are coming back to get us. So at this point, we got to calm down. We all got to take a breath. And I've already said, take me in the first blow. If we are going to work, okay, this is the sailboat I'm on. Just take me out. We're done. But you've got to give yourself grace. Catch your breath. You got to make a friend. Make sure whenever you're feeling sad and low, go get that blood sugar right. If you can handle alcohol, go have a glass of wine, take a breath, go outside, touch grass, be with people. When in doubt, though, I always say go outside, go for a walk. And I'm always here. I'll always be yapping in your ear. But man, if I could tell my 22-year-old self anything, it's like, don't be so hard on yourself. And these are lessons that I still need to tell myself. My husband said that last night as I was crying over a shredded chicken quesadilla. I said, when am I going to look normal again? He's like, you have got to be kinder to yourself. You've had a hell of a week. Healing is not linear. Going through life is not linear. This was supposed to be my month off. I have worked through it. And then I get a call. I got to be on national television in 8 days. And I look like shit under here. So that's obviously a first world problem. But my self-esteem's in the tank. I'm leaking like a jelly donut from my Pap Smear this morning. And I'm on so many steroids, I'm starving right now. But one step at a time. Give yourself grace. Give yourself a hug. And it's going to be okay. All right? I love you. I mean it. And for everybody out there, again, we are minute by minute, second by second, holding it together. It's hot as fucking hell out. We're all sweating. We're all uncomfortable. We're all hungry. And we have no idea what's going on. So just know everybody is in it together. I love you guys. As always, you can call into the hotline, 800-213-7503. And I want you to know it has been such a joy to be back with you guys. And I love you and mean it. So I'll see you guys on the next episode. Ciao, Bella. Arrivederci. Bye.